Well, you see, you encounter a situation like that very frequently. Good idea to win an argument with your wife, right? That isn't what you want, because then you have a defeated partner. And a defeated partner is not happy. And a defeated partner is often out to reclaim the defeat. And so as a strategy for moving forward with someone who you're going to wake up beside, 5,000 times, it's not a very advisable strategy. It's better to listen, to flesh out the argument on both sides, and to see if you can come to a mutually acceptable negotiated settlement. And that's the case in most encounters in life, if you can manage that. So, but it's easy to want to win. One of the things I do in my psychology seminar is I assign papers to students, and then I extract out propositions from the papers. And they're propositions that are debatable. And so then I outline the pro side, and I outline the con side. So it's like, if you agree with this, this is what you'd think. If you disagreed with this, this is what you'd think. Then I divide the students into groups. It's like 4 people per group, okay? You 4 are pro, you 4 are con. You've got 20 minutes to make a pro argument. You've got 20 minutes to make a con argument. We'll go around the table and we'll see who, we'll have each group rate the other, and we'll see who comes out on top. Well, what you want to do as an educator is you don't want to put forward a specific point of view, not when what you're trying to do is to discuss a contentious issue. What you want to do is teach people how to take an argument apart and formulate a response. And to do that, it's actually extraordinarily useful to arbitrarily assign positions to people. It's like, I don't care what you think. You're pro on this topic. Generate an argument. And what that does is it vastly widens people's conceptualizations of the argumentative space. Because most really contentious issues, gun control, abortion, those sorts of things, there is a lot to be said on both sides. They wouldn't be contentious issues otherwise. I think they're issues that don't go away. Well, why? Well, because they're so complex. They don't lend themselves to easy unitary solutions. One of the things you want to learn if you're educated is that on any complex subject, there's a lot to be said. And that, you're going to come at that with your particular ideological bias, let's say your temperamental bias. Maybe even you might even come up at it with things you've actually thought about, although that's pretty damn rare. But you need to learn just exactly how localized your viewpoint is. There's psychology experiments that demonstrate this quite clearly. So imagine that you come into my lab and I ask you whether you're pro-abortion or pro-life. And I get you to rate that on a scale. Maybe you say, well, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm 8 pro-life. And I say, okay, now you have to write a 500-word essay that's opposed to your position. Okay, that's the experiment. And then I bring you back 2 weeks later and I ask you to rate your position on the same scale. It will have shifted substantially to the position that you delineated in your written report. And the reason for that is that most people's arguments are unbelievably shallow. They're not arguments, they're just perceptual biases. That's one way of thinking about them. And if you get people to delineate out the space in any rigorous manner, then their attitudes shift. What you really want, if you're going to engage in a discussion about, say, something like gun control, is you want to be familiar with the entire range of arguments, deeply familiar, and have some respect for them. It's pretty clear that guns kill people. They're dangerous. But then it's also not self-evident that the only entities that should be allowed to be dangerous are the state entities. So there's things that can be said that are intelligent across that entire line of that entire distribution of opinion. And if you're educated, then you should be conversant with the entire range of opinions. Now, so that's one approach as an educator, is to teach people how to analyze an argument and to formulate their opinions. You do people a great service by that's teaching them how to think, not what to think, but how to think. Now, when I lecture in my psychology courses, which is a different approach, let's say, I take a position on the literature because I have to. Like, there's no being neutral about the literature. What am I going to do? Pick random studies? It's like, that isn't how people work. I have a body of knowledge, and it stems partly from my biases and from my temperaments, but it's an informed body of opinion. But what I present it to the students as is like, look, this is my take on the literature. That doesn't mean I'm right. It means that I'm an informed observer. I'm an informed singular observer. And what I'm doing then is modeling how an informed singular observer would deal with a complex body of literature. So it's partly, in that role, I'm not exactly providing facts, and I'm not exactly teaching people how to think. I'm saying, if you're a psychologist, research psychologist, and you want to engage with the literature, here's one way that you would do it. And so then I'm a model. And I'm a model of a way to be in a particular domain. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to emulate me, from top to bottom, but at least you have a sense of what it's like to be a person doing that.